True friends and true crime and long nights. The right kid in the right place at the wrong time. Give me that drone shot from up in the sky of a small town splinter in the storm's eye. We ain't nothing but dark kids. We ain't nothing but dark kids. We ain't nothing but dark kids.
Welcome back, Talkheads. It's another week. I'm here with Bowers. Listen, stand-up comedy fans, people that like to hear me and Bowers tell jokes into a microphone. We're going to be in Des Moines, Iowa, October 15th through the 17th at the Funny Bone. You can only buy tickets online, and the best place to get those is to go to toddcomedy.com. Go to my calendar, find the show, hit ticket info. It takes you right to their site. So it's easy. It's over. All the business is over.
We did it. It's done.
You should go to LB Jerky Co. On all social media and get involved. Get you some beef jerky. You're going to get beef jerky anyway. Why not get it from friends of ours? This is not a paid advertisement. This is just people that I love and a product that I love. And I think you should be eating their beef jerky and not somebody else's.
Nothing better than long beef jerky, man. That buffalo wing jerky is the best thing I've ever tasted.
It's the best
from a turkey stand. It's unbelievable.
Every car ride saves me.
If you're doing a no carb diet or something, it's also has very few carbs. So like, let's say you're trying to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, like I am. It's a good little snack. Good old no carb middle of the day snack. Check it out. There's
no bread in there. There's no potatoes.
No. And there's not even like a lot of sugar. Like a lot of your really good your jerkies have like 11, 12 grams of carbs, and that's not that buffalo wing one. It's like 2. It's awesome.
Yeah. Get you some right now. lbjerkyco.com. All right. So this week's documentary, this was one that was requested a lot, and I know why. It's a fucking crazy story. It's tragic as tragedy gets, but it's just a doozy, man. There's so many unanswered questions involved and all this shit. So the documentary doesn't answer any of them for you per se. So we thought we'd just go through it and then maybe come up with our own, hypotheses about what happened.
Yeah, I think on some level, I think you should have to have an answer before you're allowed to make a documentary. Like you shouldn't be able to have a documentary that's just an open-ended question and you ask questions for an hour and a half, and at the end you're like, yeah, so we don't know. I don't know what happened. Mm-hmm. Like that. Not a big fan of that.
Some people threw out some theories, and I guess maybe you're just supposed to kind of pick your own. It's one of those deals. I don't know, but we'll come up.
We'll get there. That'll be the end. The end will be the theory. So there we go.
So the documentary is "There's Something Wrong with Aunt Diane," and indeed there was. Something's wrong.
Something happened. Yeah, I mean, it starts pretty tragic. I mean, right from the very beginning, you know what I mean? It's 8 people dead right off the jump. Like that's go. There's a car wreck. She's going the wrong way down the turnpike, and she smashes into a car and kills 4 children and herself and 3 adults in their car, and pretty tragic.
Very tragic and very bizarre because it starts off by playing these calls to police. So they're getting calls from relatives of Diane and the whole family. And they're like, listen, something's weird. Like, my sister called me and she wasn't acting right. She was sounding weird. And then I could hear the kids crying in the background. And then one of the girls called somebody from inside the car from her phone. And she was crying, saying that Aunt Diane couldn't see, her head hurt, all this stuff. And something was wrong and they were scared. And then eventually people start calling in that this car is fucking going the wrong way on a major turnpike in upstate New York. So, and then the crash happens and her 3 nieces that were in the car die. Her daughter dies. The 3 men in the oncoming vehicle that she collided head on with, they died. And the only survivor was her little boy, Brian, who received pretty serious brain injury from it. So, all right, let's get into it right away, right? Toxicology. Yep. They used to blow them. They come out. The police have a press conference.
Yep. 0.19.
Pretty drunk.
10 10 drinks, which I've been I didn't know 0.19 was that incapacitating. That's what I was trying to look for there, Todd. That word.
Yeah.
I'm saying like I've been 0.19 a bunch, and I don't drive, obviously. I'm not an idiot, but like I still feel like I got go. I mean, one time we got pulled over. We had a sober driver who didn't happen to be as sober as he told us he was, but he was a pledge. And me and the other dude in the car, like we were 0.32. But we were still talking to the cop. We walked home by ourselves. I mean, sure, we got lost a couple times and forgot what we were doing and sat on a step and cried for a while. But eventually we made it home. Yeah. So I didn't realize 0.19 was that big, but it's pretty tough. And weed and weed in there. There's also
a high level of THC.
High level.
High enough to suggest that maybe she had partook, whatever the word is, about an hour before the crash happened. Before she left.
Well, no, but see, before the thing that's crazy, and this is the part of the documentary that I thought I bumped on a little bit, not bumping, but this is where it got weird, is it took her 4 hours to get home for 35 minutes. So it was a 35-minute drive home. It took her 4 hours. So that's not a good sign.
Because she leaves the route of travel off the major turnpike, and they kind of don't know where she went after that. Until she gets back on the turnpike. But
if they're saying she smoked a bunch of weed an hour before the crash, that means she stopped somewhere with these kids and smoked weed in front of them, which seems bananas. I can't imagine that's a thing that happened. But
we know she stopped at one point and got out on the side of the road because she left her cell phone on a concrete divider wall. So
that's drunk. When
you
leave your cell phone, and that's, I mean, I don't know how quickly we want to get to all this, but I mean, it's basically the whole documentary is this. She is drunk driving the wrong way down a fucking road, kills all these kids, and her husband and her sister-in-law are pretty sure they will not believe that she was drunk. She's not a drinker. She doesn't do this. This isn't what happened, right? If one of your aunts killed a bunch of people, Todd, we'd be like, yeah, of course she did. That's what happens in the McComas family, right? If a Bowers aunt, if one of my crazy aunts would have, like older, my dad's fucking aunts, if they'd have done, fucking crazy bad. But like, this was not this lady. This lady was not that person. They didn't think they just refused to believe, which I get, like if I'm trying to think if there's something, if my mom was in and they were like, oh, she was drunk driving and she was high, I'd be like, no, my mom doesn't do that. That's not what my mom does. Right. Now, everybody has a secret something, I guess, and serial killers, they always go, oh, he kept to himself. We never thought he'd be a serial killer. But so you do hide shit. But like, it wasn't like she was doing consistently bad shit and then this happened. Like literally spotless record till today.
And they're both just adamant. They're publicly everywhere they can get on, Larry King, all these shows, and they're like, listen, these results are wrong. Like there's no way she got drunk and had all these kids. She doesn't even drink much, sometimes socially they end up revealing she does smoke weed. Now he's saying there's no way she would do that, in that setting.
Right.
But, and then her friends are like, yeah, we knew she smoked, but,
I mean, I smoke weed, but not before the podcast. I mean, we all have rules, right?
Yeah,
I'm not going to get high and come on and try to do this podcast and be an idiot, right?
Exactly.
So I could see, just because you smoke weed doesn't mean you're going to smoke weed when you're jumping in a car with 5 kids. So I understand how they wouldn't believe that was a thing.
So there's so many unanswered questions, like how, and they're even denying the science, which I get it. Like this is hard to admit, that, and because listen, she was the poster mom for drunk drivers, for a long time. Like, look what happens when you drink and drive. Let's tell Diane's story. And they were like, well, they didn't want that to be her legacy. And I understand it.
And that's why they're fighting. I mean, I thought it was interesting. The lawyer that was representing him also represented Joey Buttafuoco and a couple of the those big cases from back in the day. And he said the hatred for her was more than even Joey Buttafuoco and all the people associated with that case. So I understand why the family's like, look, we don't want everyone to hate her. Now, I think on some level, if you just shut the fuck up about it and let it go away, people forget about it, as opposed to having a documentary where now people know. I don't know how doing a documentary helps your cause of, and look, name, but
shit does happen. Like, is it plausible that, maybe we mixed samples? Maybe that wasn't even her blood that we sipped.
Oh, for sure.
That happened.
For sure.
So I don't think it's unreasonable for them to like, listen, this is so out of character. Would you mind making sure this is the right sample? And then, of course, the police aren't going to do that. They're like, no, we already did our job. So they hire somebody to help with that. A PI. They get a PI. They get this attorney, and They end up, and they end up getting DNA, things of hers submitted that have DNA to compare to the blood, and that does end up matching. It's her sample, but we'll get into that. But so most of the documentary now is like building up what kind of person she was, like trying to develop a psychological profile. Like, why are these people thinking this? Jay, her sister-in-law, and husband. So when she kind of grew up like being the caretaker of her siblings because her mom bolts, right?
Yeah, her mom leaves when she's 9.
Yeah.
She never talks about it. Now, I thought it was interesting, too, that she never talked about anything in her past. She never talked about any of her feelings. She didn't talk to her friends about her husband. Like, that seems like someone who's self-medicating because if you're, you know what I mean? Maybe not. I don't know. But I'm saying, like, that just seems like it seemed odd that you wouldn't talk to your husband about your mom leaving you, and you wouldn't talk to your best friend about whether or not you liked your husband or how your marriage was going. It just doesn't
very much. And that's also maybe a person who keeps some secrets from people, because a lot of people were like, well, she never really got into this. This just wasn't the way she was. You just didn't know this side of her. Well, maybe there's this other side in the husband of all people. He's like, I would know. I don't know if you would, dude, because it looked like to me that you've never taken the trash out a day in your life while married to Diane. Like, you're pretty much a lazy motherfucker. Like, he works security at night, comes home, doesn't help with the kids or anything during the day. So when she had vodka bottles in there, they worked opposite shifts. He would never know because he's never looked in the trash.
And for sure. And you can hide stuff from people all the time. I mean, people hide stuff from their spouses all the time, or there wouldn't be cheating. I mean, it's a thing that can happen. You can do that, especially if it's self-medicating and you're real good at it and real good at hiding what you're doing. Now that doesn't mean that was something that happened all the time. I mean, I've got some theories about what happened, but I think it is. And
we should let people know that if you haven't seen it yet, the setting is they were on a camping trip in upstate New York. They're into camping. I think they have a camper there. And so Danny, her husband, and Diane take their 2 kids and their 3 nieces camping for the weekend. Yep. So when they're leaving, this is what happens. Danny is driving their family pickup truck, doesn't have a back seat. They have the dog. So he takes the dog and he drives home. And then Diane had borrowed her sister's minivan, I think, so that she could hold all the kids in there. So she leaves separately with all the kids and all the stuff that they had packed. And she's going to take the kids to get breakfast at McDonald's. He's like, all right, cool. I'm going to go home. He probably needs a nap. He's kind of a selfish person. In my opinion.
Yeah, that was part of that. Actually, what I was thinking, I've been on lots of road trips and I've been places with Chrissy or my family. And I don't go, all right, I'll see you at home and just take off. Like, we always just follow each other home. Like I'll follow you and then we'll stop at McDonald's together. Yeah, that was the part I thought was odd to me too, that he was just like, all right, see ya. And he just bolted.
As a dad, like, I'm not like, I'm going to feel responsible. Like, okay, my wife and kids and then my nieces are all in here. I'm going to, how about you guys follow me or I follow you? And then when you stop, we'll all get breakfast together, whatever, Yeah. But he's like,
that, nope, I mean, that was like, the fact that he was like, all right, I'm out of here. I mean, again, I've got some more theories later, but that one, I bumped on that. I bumped on that for sure. But he did say she was sober when they left. So when he left them at, 10 a.m. or whatever time it was, or 9 a.m. when they got up and to leave, she was good. And they had to get to a dance recital. So they were getting up and getting ready. And then, he takes off. She stops at McDonald's. Nobody seemed to think she was drunk at McDonald's, but it still took her an hour and 15 minutes to get to McDonald's, which was 10 minutes away. So that's weird. Like, the timeline was weird for me from the very beginning. Like, it takes a very long time for this to all come together in what should not have been that long of a road trip. And maybe that's where the dad left, because he's like, look, it's 30 minutes. We've done this a million times.
Right.
Like, if Chrissy and I were both around the corner, would I say, hey, I'll wait on you to drive? I mean, as a shorter distance.
Yeah. Like, there's going to be a bunch of stops in there that they didn't cover for whatever reason, or they just won't know happened. Now, retroactively, I think before she ditched her cell phone, they probably could figure that out, but for whatever reason, it's not in here. But there's a lot of time missing, and we know that at one point she even calls her sister like at 11 in the morning, like, hey, we're running late. I know the girls got a thing they got to go to, but we're running behind. And she was fine then. The sister's like, that. She was fine. She was just Diane. And then by 1 o'clock, when she calls her back, she's not making sense. She's incoherent. She keeps calling her brother-in-law Danny.
Yeah, and we never talked to the actual parents of the daughters that died. We never hear from them,
right?
Which I also thought was telling. You know what I mean? Like I get the not want to be on camera, and it's the worst thing that ever happened to you. You know, but I mean, I was interested to see what they thought, because I understand Danny thinking this is her husband. I even understand her sister-in-law who didn't have kids and was kind of the godmother of her daughter, and was her buddy. I kind of see her, fighting for this. And but I really wanted to hear from the family of the girls, and we didn't, which I thought was also, I bumped on that. Like, if she's this great person you think about, then why aren't you just a one line, even a line to the producers that said, we don't think she did it, but I don't want to be on camera, it's too traumatic or whatever. Right. You know what I mean? So and the fact that wasn't there,
I think they were probably, if I had to guess, are like, listen, at this point, we just really don't give a shit why. We just know that she was, and this happened as a result of it. So, and our kids are gone. Like, so we don't want to talk about it anymore. You guys, and it's probably pissing them off. Like, a lot of people were pissed. The family of the three dudes in the car, the father and the son, and then the dad's friend, they got murdered.
Bastardes, which I thought was a great name.
Guy Bastardi.
Guy Bastardi. What a great name.
Like, Guy Bastardi.
How's he not a kicker in the NFL?
or the lead in a comedy mafia movie. It's a Guy Bastardi.
Yeah. He's the pain in the ass. Yeah. So they had but yeah, they're like, we just wish they would just go, hey, yeah, she did it, we're sorry. But the fact they keep fighting about this is what pissed them off, which I get. I understand. Like, look, just fuck it. Come on, man.
They were all like, we forgive Diane. Like, what, it happened. It's over. We're moving past it, but the living family we have a problem with. They were like, fuck those people, shut your mouths.
Right.
So they're on what do you call it? They are on a mission for sure. Like they want everything redone. They're doubting the police's reports and the autopsy reports from the medical examiner, all this stuff. So they are working to get new things retested and to verify whether or not that was even her blood that was submitted in the sample and all this stuff. So they're getting somewhere there. I mean, in the police, like when they found the bottle of vodka in the van, what I found interesting on Danny's part, and this may just be like, caught him off guard and not trying to paint her in a bad light in any way. But in the one interview, Danny said he couldn't explain the bottle of vodka when asked. He was like, I don't know. And then on Larry King, he said, well, we always kept a bottle of vodka in the camper. We wanted to make some drinks or whatever. And I don't know how it ended up in the van, but she packed all the stuff and then I loaded it. And I didn't know it was in there. And they didn't talk about, and the bottle was broken too. So I don't think they even know like if it was full or empty or whatever.
Right. It was
broken in the crash.
It got broken in the crash. So yeah, I mean, but I mean, I've been in my life where like, something rolls out from under the seat and you're like, oh fuck, there's been liquor in the car this whole time. God damn it. I'd have been in trouble. I mean, how many times does that happen? Where like, so, I go to high schools and stuff and I open my trunk and there's half a case of beer in there. And I'm like, oh fuck. And I have to shut the car. I'm like,
no, this wasn't even their minivan either though. This was the family member's minivan. So
the girl's mom lent them the minivan.
Right.
So I mean, and the timeline gets a little wonky too, because like she's at McDonald's at like 10:30 or whatever. By 11, people are seeing her swerve. By 12, she's like honking and trying to pass people on the shoulder.
Yeah, that's weird, because that's not just like normal drunk driving. Like she's road raging almost, the way they're describing it. And they were very deliberate movements. It wasn't like she was just all over the road. She was like on your ass, honking, trying to pass on the shoulder. In other cars, she was just overtaking them and just weaving in and out of traffic.
Yeah, because not to say I've driven drunk, but I probably have 2 or 3 times in my life. And when you're driving drunk, you're just trying to get home. You just look at all the lights, be the speed limit. I mean, like, even like super drunk. And I've driven once or twice where I really shouldn't have. It's one of those things where like, you gotta be like, God, you don't drink for 3 months because it scares the shit out of you. Right. But like even then, like I wasn't like, I was just concentrating on getting home and making sure there's no lights behind you and using your turn signal and whatever. I mean, like, so it's not this. I mean, like if you're drunk, you're not aggressively driving and honking at people and swerving around. That's going to get you in trouble.
Absolutely. So that part was weird to me. So that's like, I don't even, it would be different if they're like, oh, she was just, all over the place. She was just a mess, going from one lane to the other. This deliberate, like crazy road rage type driving Now it's like, okay, there was something going on psychologically outside of the level of intoxication or how high she was. So now it's like, now I want to know, like, what in the fuck is going on inside her head? Or is there a medical explanation?
Well, and that's what they talked about, her being like the perfect mom. Like that was the thing that everybody was surprised by. It was like she was the perfect mom because her mom left when she was 9. She wanted to be the perfect mom. She was the person who was up at 5 a.m. making lunches and all this stuff and and getting the kids off to where they needed to go. And then, you know, was ironing every bit of Danny's clothes, which I can't imagine he has a job that needs ironed clothes, but whatever. I've never ironed anything ever. I wear a suit every day of my life. I don't understand what's happening.
He's a security guard at night. I mean, nobody's looking, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So, but she's ironing clothes, she's doing laundry, she's like whatever, and then she's reading kids to bed stories at night, and then he gets home because he's working the late shift, so he gets home and then she hangs out with him till he goes to bed, and I mean, so you know, never sleeping seemingly, you know, which another theory I have is based on that is this supermom thing that she was, but also they said a lot that she had to be in control all the time. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And like, you know, like what was weird too is the couple that were giving the eyewitness account, the one that she was riding their ass and trying to pass them on the shoulder. They finally, like, to get out of her way, pulled off to a truck stop, or not a truck stop, a rest area. One of those rest areas with restaurants and shit in it, one of those big ones. They pull off there, and then they see her go past them, stop, get out, and then she was like kind of hunched over, like they said, looked like maybe she was getting sick, and she goes inside. Yeah. So was like she trying to bust by them because I'm going to throw up. I'm going to shit my pants. I think
about that. Yeah. That could have been it. She was about to throw up.
Or I'm in a lot of pain, you know, because we do know that when she goes into the Sunoco gas station, she asks for a very specific type of like pain medicine, like an analgesic, the gel things that you can bust in your mouth because they're more effective like on one spot. And then they're digging through, Jay and Danny are digging through and finding these dental records from, she had a, what do you call that?
An abscess. She had an abscess and a root canal.
The root canal that she didn't finish, and she had like some suggestion that there maybe is an abscess tooth if she didn't get it fixed.
Now, also, she might have been hitting that rest stop very quickly because you know how I know rest stops, Todd. That rest stop actually has an Aunt Diane's pretzel and an Arby's in it. I've been there, and maybe she was high, so she really wanted a pretzel. I don't know. It could have been that. She's like, I need a fucking pretzel, dog.
Starving.
Fucking go. Yeah. So that could have been it. I don't know, but
it's very possible. So Supermom at this point, they're like, Supermom. Like, what in the fuck happened to Supermom? Like, she always volunteers at all the kids' school shit. Like, that's what everybody knows about her. She's just always taking care of people. She's the breadwinner of her family. She makes a bunch of money. Got a good job.
Yeah, at some point they couldn't pay the investigator any more money because she was the breadwinner. They just didn't have any more money to give him. Now I think they'd given him $20,000. You know, and then he came off like a real dick there in the beginning when they first talked to him on the phone. When the documentary crew called him, he's like, "It's going to cost." My lawyer tells me it's going to be worth. It has to be $25,000 for me to even come on the documentary to make it worth it.
Right.
And she's like, "Well, documentaries don't pay that." And you're like, "Fuck, who is this guy? He took their records and didn't give it back to him, and then whatever." So. You know, they got the medical records. They found out about the root canal. You know, it's just they're trying to piece all this together. And then we go back to the timeline. Now it's 1:00, and that's when it starts getting weird. At 1:00, she tries to call Danny, and she calls her brother accidentally, and she's not making any fucking sense. You know, about that time is when the oldest daughter of the other lady calls her mom and says there's something wrong with Aunt Diane. She can't see and whatever. You know, at some point she does stop and fucking puts her phone on she pulled over because something was wrong. And then she left her phone on the dividers. You said like, that's a fucked up move.
Yeah.
You don't
so at this point you're pretty fucked up, right?
Yeah. Or you've got a weird plan. Like either you've got a weird plan or you're completely fucked up.
That's one thing that, all right, I'm glad you said that because I was going to raise this as, all right, this is one hypothetical. Let's say for whatever reason, it's just going to be a mass fucking suicide right now. I'm taking everybody out with me. I don't want the fucking police checking my fucking phone. Right. So, and people are I'm sure they're trying to call her back at this point because they're disturbed to what they're hearing from the kids in the car. You know, once everybody's putting 2 and 2 together. So did she leave it on purpose or is she just fucked up and left it laying there? I find it hard to believe 0.19 and you're high, that you just, I'm on the side of a fucking highway. I'm just going to leave it on a concrete divider.
Well, yeah, but if Chrissy leaves her phone in the back of the Uber every fucking time we come back from the airport sober. I mean, so there's just when you've got a bunch of shit on your mind, maybe. And again, I think she's out of her mind, obviously. I mean, I've been drunk enough that I've left my phone in an Uber, or I've left my phone somewhere. I mean, I'm pretty good at it. I mean, you and I are both golden retrievers, and we always make it home. We always have our shit. You know what I mean? Like,
but you got out of your car on an interstate or a highway, and you set the phone on top of a concrete divider. At that point, you just forget that you did that. It's not like, you had it between your legs and you rode drunk in an Uber for a half hour and then you just got up and, you know what I mean?
That's a solid point. I'm just saying that when you're that fucked up, I mean, again, but she's already stopped. I mean, my thing is you're stopped at a rest area or at a toll booth toll booths have attendants and cops and stuff, right? Usually. So just go, hey, I don't know what's happening. I don't feel right. Something's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like at any point, like it wasn't like this is she got drunk and it was a 10-minute whatever. I mean, this is 4 hours she's wandering around the countryside. Like at what point? And what's interesting, and this is what kind of freaked me out about the documentary, is that I think I've told you this. Like I have a reoccurring dream all the time. It doesn't happen all the time, but I don't have nightmares very often. But the only nightmare I really have is that I'm drunk driving and I need to stop. Yeah. And I don't drink and drive, which is weird. So like the whole time I'm like, I gotta stop. And like I'll dream that I got hit, or I'll dream that I got pulled over, and then I wake up and I'm not driving. I'm like, oh, thank God I'm not driving and I'm not drunk. I don't know what my brain's doing to me. But like, so this I have that dream too, where I'm falling asleep though at the wheel and I can't stop for some reason, and I'm crashing into shit. Yeah, so this kind of reminded me of that. Like, was she that in that mode where she's like, I just got to get home. I just can't. But I mean, at some point, you just stop and ask for help if you're right. Now she goes southbound. Eventually, she goes southbound in the northbound lane on the Taconic Parkway, and people are dodging her. And witnesses are saying, "Listen, she wasn't swerving. She was just driving straight." Was the only thing that really saved us was because we could just get out of her way. And they said she looked really focused. Now, listen, let's talk about 0.19. 0.19 is not destroyed. That's 0.19 is a really good buzz. Now again, we are drinkers, Todd. So 0.19 to us is probably what we were in Toledo, partying balls, having a good time. Shout out to the Toledo people that party with us after the shows in Toledo. That was great, right? They were awesome. So, but I'm saying like we were definitely 0.19, but we were within our faculties, but we're drinkers. We know how to handle that. So if she truly is not a fucking recreational drinker, if she just drinks occasionally, I could 0.19, maybe she is completely fucking banana bonkers. I mean, I know people that 2 glasses of wine and they're fucking passed out, and you try to get them up and they're completely whatever. But then I think bad driving. This is like good driving. But wrong driving. You know? Yeah. No, that's. I mean, she was playing Mario Kart for a while. Like she was very effective. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't just sloppy. That's what's weird, right? And now she's also high. All right. So if I'm 0.19 and I have smoked, some pretty strong weed, there's no way I should be driving. I don't think it's going to explain me going the wrong way. In a part of my state where I'm fairly familiar, I'm not going the wrong way on a turnpike or a major interstate. For sure. Now I think maybe her being such a perfectionist and so being in charge, and I mean, did somebody say that Danny was her oldest kid? Which I think is telling, like he's Danny was her oldest boy, he's just whatever. He's like the husband, but he's one of those doofusy husbands. Everything like every TV commercials about how you can't leave the baby with Danny for an hour or the whole house gets destroyed, right? Yeah. So like, but there are guys like that. I mean, that's why I don't have kids. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so I think that maybe, I mean, could she have been like, I mean, was it Planes, Trains, and Automobiles where she's like, you're going the wrong way. And she's like, you're drunk. They're drunk. Like, because she knows better. Like people who are perfectionists don't ever admit they're wrong. So I don't know. Is there a point where she's driving the wrong way? And I thought it was interesting. A couple different things before we get to her going that wrong direction. I thought it was interesting that she doesn't talk to her childhood friends anymore. Mm-hmm. Like they weren't invited to her wedding, which I have childhood friends that I don't talk to anymore, but I'm not mad at them. Like they seem like there's something happened they didn't want to talk about, which I thought was interesting. And, they happened to mention that that the mom left for the next door neighbor, which I don't think that matters much, but I could the mom.
And it was weird, like, but the mom was able to carry on a relationship with all the brothers. And then for some reason, Diane was, nope, I'm shutting you out of my life. I'm never talking to you or about you to anyone.
She holds on to a grudge.
Yeah.
Like Diane's not going to ever give up on something. So did one of those little girls say something shitty? And it's so shitty that she's like, oh, you bitches have to die now. Like, is that,
yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, like, that's, those people that are she was wound super fucking tight.
Right.
I mean, people that have to smoke weed to go to sleep are generally wound pretty fucking tight. You know, and that's what she said. She smoked weed to go to sleep. Why can't she go to sleep?
I believe it. She had a lot. She kept everything together. And we're going to get hard into our own theories at the end, just so people know, like, we're going to go through crazy or legit or whatever. We're going to let them fly, because this is what to me, this is why you watch this documentary. And I did think, I did like the filmmakers set up a meeting between Danny and Jay and this Dr. Werner Spitz,
who I've seen. He was on Autopsy on HBO back in the day. Like, we know Dr. Werner.
He's so famous in that. King. Yeah, he's like the most respected medical examiner in the
I think
country.
he did all the John Bonet stuff. Like, he's been a bunch of stuff. I mean, like, I've seen that guy on TV a bunch.
Yeah. So they wanted this meeting to happen so that he could answer questions about the autopsy and discuss options for retesting with Jay and Danny. And I found it interesting because right away he said, I believe the autopsy was done correctly and done well, and that he blames the crash on alcohol and marijuana consumption. And so Danny was like, well, what if they just weren't buying it? And you could tell, like, Dr. Spitz was frustrated.
Could a stroke make you drunk? He's like, no, a stroke could not make you drunk. It could make you do weird shit, but you won't be 0.19.
Yeah.
There's no part of it. If you get a blood clot in your brain, it's not going to release alcohol into you don't have an alcohol sac somewhere in your brain ready to fucking release that shit.
And I like when he goes, well, what if she had a stroke and just drank the vodka thinking it was water? I'm like, all right, now we're kind of stretching right here, Danny.
Well, and I've done that before too, but not for more than one swallow. I mean, like, fucking, you ever done that? You ever
not like 0.19 chug?
I had a buddy who used to keep a bottle of vodka, shitty plastic vodka. He emptied it out and cleaned it, and then he put water in his fridge, and it was just in his fridge. He was just drink cold water. It wasn't a Brita, but it was cold water in the fridge. And one time, to fuck with us, you just put a bottle of vodka in there, so everybody just assumed it was water, and you pour it in your cup, and you take a big drink. You're like, fast, straight vodka. Like, you're not drinking 10 drinks of that. You're like, oh, that water tastes terrible. You know what I mean? Like,
what a good
I mean, it's upstate New York, so maybe the regular water tastes like Grey Goose. I don't know, but like, that seems a little far. But yeah, they were grasping for all the straws. Like, well, could she have had a stroke and that made her drink? And he's like, well, maybe, I guess. It'd be a weird way to react to, your left side doesn't work, so you're chugging by. That doesn't make any sense. But they were grasping.
Yeah, and it, like, to appease them, finally at the end, he was like, all right, let's say maybe she was in so much pain from an abscessed tooth or whatever that she drank the vodka and smoked weed to alleviate the pain, and maybe she just wasn't in her right mind because whatever was going on, was so intense, the pain was so intense and whatever, and she just kept drinking. Like, she, this isn't who she is as a person, but something caused her to do this. But all I can tell you is we will never know the answer to that. And what we do know is that she was 0.19 and she was pretty high, and then she crashed, and that's our job. That's our job to find that out. I mean, that's our causation. Yeah. We can't really tell why she got 0.19 or why she got high, but we know that she did. So they just kind of left it at that, and you could tell Danny was not happy. He talked about, I'm going to move to Alaska. I think you would die if you moved to Alaska, Danny. I think you're too lazy to live in Alaska. You kind of got to have your shit together to live there. It's very cold.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
you can't build a fire.
At one point, yeah. I mean, so yeah. I mean, that's it's. And again, I have some theories as well. But I mean, they tried to do everything, and that guy was like, "Nah, sorry, man.
Yeah,
this looks legit." And then
then they find out. Then they find out that the PI, not a piece of shit, did everything he was supposed to do. Because they try to get the retest ordered, and they're like, well, that was done 9 months ago at the request of Tom Ruskin, your private investigator. And they're like, what? And they're like, yeah, we sent the results to Tom. You can get them from him. And then the attorney's like, oh, this is the whole problem. I want to know what's going on with this PI. I never get any information back. Come to find out that Jay and Danny were fucking stifling the flow of communication along because they got pissed at him.
Because she was told not to answer the phone. Just don't even pick up the phone. Right.
By Danny.
So maybe they owed him money. Maybe they owed Ruskin money. They hadn't paid for all the. That's probably what happened. Is they didn't pay for all the results. So they still owed him $2 or $3 grand, and he wouldn't give them the results till they paid for it. And finally, on documentary, he's like, "All right, fine. It was the fucking same, guys."
Yeah,
because that was what it came down to. It was like 9 months ago, they came back and said it was her DNA. That was the blood alcohol. That was the I mean, the THC level was super high too. It wasn't like she just had one hit. I mean, it was like a ton of.
High.
I mean, it was the equivalent of 0.19 of weed. I'm assuming. I don't know a lot of how they measure weed, but 113 milligrams seems like a lot of weed.
Yeah. So, all right. And Diane's pretty heavy lady when this happens. So it takes probably a fair amount of vodka to get her to 0.19. So, all right, at this point, it's not an accident that she drank that much, right? 10 glasses or whatever the fuck she had to do to get 0.19, which I don't think 10 probably. If you drink
probably six
double shots, that could be going pretty good.
Or 3 double shots. I mean, I'm saying 6 ounces of vodka, 7-8 ounces. I mean, like, you know. 3 huge pulls probably would get her to 0.19.
Yeah.
Which you could do all at once. I mean, you could literally go and be done, you know?
You could.
I mean, and if you weren't a drinker, that would so is there a chance that she got fucking the tooth hurt so bad? She's like, I'm going to take some vodka, and she just chugged it too many times because she's never chugged vodka out of a bottle before. And she thought 3 swallows wasn't 7 shots. I don't know. You know, which could be, that's possible. Now, I don't know how then you smoke weed.
Right. All right. All right. So before we get to our theories, there was one other interesting thing I found toward the end of the documentary about Danny, the husband. Jay reveals that, one point, he's not very attentive. Like, he doesn't even hardly keep his son. Jay keeps his son most of the time. Right. The sister-in-law.
They start to crack in that last 20 minutes where she's like mad at him because he won't investigate during the day. She's like, "You're home all day. I'm working 14 hours a week and then investigating. You're not investigating.
And I'm raising your kid for you. And I'm the one. I got him in the therapy because you won't even let him talk about it and all this stuff." And then she reveals that, Danny at one point said, "This is bullshit. I didn't even want to have kids."
Yeah.
Diane wanted to have kids, and now she's not here to take care of the one kid that's left alive. I have to do it. This is bullshit. I'm like, not a fan of this motherfucker at all.
No, definitely he was a shady fuck, and Jay and her, Jay, the woman, and Danny are getting into it because he's kind of ready to let it go. Which also I have a theory about maybe why that's going on.
Okay, so we pretty much walked through the doc, right? It's pretty simple. It's very interesting.
I think it's important to say she drove 1.7 miles the wrong direction. It wasn't like she got on the highway and was like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck."
Right.
1.7 miles at 70 miles. I mean, now again, at 70 miles an hour, that's a minute and a half. I guess when you think about it that way.
You're covering probably 2 exits, though. You know what I mean?
True. But I'm saying it's still not that long. It's 2 full minutes. At 70 miles an hour, a mile a minute or whatever. So, it's probably a minute 30, which, 1.7 miles seems like a long way, but a minute 30 is not that long, really, to be in the wrong. If you're not in the right state of mind, you're like, "Oh, fuck, am I on the wrong road?" It probably takes you longer than a minute and a half. You're not usually driving 70 miles an hour. Usually, because I've turned down the wrong way on a one-way street before. Me and Sarah did it in Indianapolis 3 weeks ago, where we got out of a restaurant where I'm like, "Oh, fuck, I thought we were on Meridian. We're on Delaware. We were going the wrong direction." All the time. Yeah, all the time. And it takes about a minute and a half, but you're not going 70 miles an hour, into an interstate. So it's not as, but
it would take me 2 seconds to go, "Oh shit," and get over to the fucking shoulder and be able to start backing the fuck up.
Right. I mean, once one car passes you and honks at you, you're like, what the, I mean, the fact that 5 different cars called 911 because she was just a bat out of hell in the fast lane going the wrong direction.
Right.
So
it's fun. Yeah. Listen, it's a fucked up situation. It's a very good documentary. They tell the story very well. Now, you're not going to get any answers beyond what was already released initially by the police, unfortunately. But but they did give us some background on her and all this stuff. So Bowers, let's just throw out some scenarios.
I do want to give a little warning. They do show you her completely dead, and I didn't like that. I didn't need to see that picture.
That was
I don't
bullshit.
know. I've seen a lot of forensic files where they show you kind of the hand off to the side. There's a hand, just it's a dead person. No, fucking full her
fucked
face.
up after
I'm like,
crash.
God damn it. I didn't. Then I was nervous they were going to show us the kids. I'm like, if you show us the fucking kids, I'm throwing my TV out the window. I can't fucking handle this. Jesus Christ. I swear to God, I was nervous. I'm like, these motherfuckers show us dead kids. I don't know what I'm going to do.
If I'm the family, I would have went off on those motherfuckers for showing that. Oh, I mean, but maybe they got consent. I don't know.
They had to have had consent or they wouldn't have signed off on the whole thing. Right. I would imagine. I don't know how documentaries work. You do more than I do. I mean, can they sign off partially and not? I don't know.
I got to think if those pictures were in like, the autopsy report or something, and they got their hands on it through Freedom of Information Act or whatever, probably can put it out there without getting permission from Danny. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I just don't know if Danny stops his permission on the documentary if he's pissed off about the thing and doesn't sign the waiver. But I think if he signed the waiver ahead of time, maybe not. I don't know how all that works. If you sign to be in a documentary and then they just do it completely backwards than what you wanted. But I guess also you don't get final edits. So it's not like they sent it to him.
True.
It's probably fucking shocking.
True.
Can you imagine finally you're going to watch this documentary and at the end you have to fucking see your dead wife? I mean,
we could at least blurt out her face.
It was gruesome. I didn't like that part.
All right. So let's go. So what do you think about Danny and Diane? Do you think they're the blissfully happy couple that they were being portrayed as?
I have a couple theories. I don't know. Do you want to go theory against theory? Do you want me to do? I got like 4. Do you want to do? How do you want to?
Let's just start throwing some around.
So like I mean crazier theories. I think that Danny was somehow involved. Either he drugged her, he didn't want to have kids, he was done with her. Either he broke up with her that morning, or they had a terrible fight or something that led her, and he just fucking left. Like, fuck you, I'm leaving. And then she was fucking had to get all the kids together in the fucking campsite, and she drank, and then she fucking smoked weed just to fucking take the edge off, and then fucking whatever. And his guilt of that, he needs to find something else that was the problem, so it wasn't his fault. Right. Yeah. I think there's part of that. I think that had the Jay, the woman, not pushed him, I think he would have let it go a long time ago. I think it was she's the one pushing him. Now, I for a moment thought maybe she was into Danny. Like that's what she just wanted to spend time with Danny. So this whole investigation was about Jay being able to hang out with Danny because she married the wrong brother. I don't know, but I
don't think she really was a fan of him either. I think she's just more.
No, by the end,
she's just one of those ladies that she's a crusader, man. Like I just jump in and take charge. If there's somebody there to help, that's what I live for. Because she's taking this kid to therapy and. He has to do training, all the time for the nerve damage to his eye and all that shit. I think she's just one of those people.
Gotcha. So do you think Danny had any culpability? What do you think about the Danny angle?
I was thinking at one point, I was like, what if Danny knew that they had a bunch of edibles or something? And they just kept saying, just assuming that she smoked it. All right, but if you get like a really strong piece of a cookie or a brownie or something, and then that could really fucking blow you out of the water. You know what I mean?
For sure. And you wouldn't notice it for the first hour. You're driving along, you think everything's good, and then that's what I'm saying. Where he dosed her, or fucking put weed in the booze somehow, and then put the booze in her coffee. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's some sort of like double drugging kind of thing. And again, I don't know in 2009 if upstate New York has edibles. Like that's you know what I mean? Like they existed, but to 35-year-old white nerdy people have access to edibles. I don't know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they didn't seem like,
own.
Yeah, I mean, but how, that's hard to do. I mean, you got to know what you're doing. I mean, that's a whole thing. Like as a dude who was about that age at that time, I didn't have access to just edibles. I mean, I went to a party once where they had some, but it wasn't like I just had them on my person ever. You know what I mean? Yeah. They weren't just prevalent in the United States, because that was way before Colorado and California even had legal weed. I think weed was probably medicinal, and medical marijuana was in California and like Oregon, but New York, I'm not sure it's got.
Maybe. I had a lot of friends that were pretty into the brownies and cookies always. I don't know why.
I'm just saying, I never had access to them. I never had access to them when I was just a regular dude.
Right.
You know, when I moved to California is when you can go buy them. And
sure.
They have nutritional information on them.
We weren't really weed people until recently. So
yeah, and we weren't weed people anyway. So and it'd be interesting to talk to somebody who was a big weed person in 2009 to see how easily edibles were around. I don't know if they were or not. I mean, probably they were.
Yeah, I remember my friends always talking about them, like my back home friends. But
and maybe that's what she took to go to sleep. Who knows? I mean, maybe she didn't. But they said she smoked weed. So
so they were pretty sure about it. But I just thought, maybe that's something that could sneak up on her. But here's the whole thing too. Again, she's not sloppy. She's very focused. And now I want to explain like the anger or the hurriedness of her actions, like when she's trying to blow by those people in the shoulder and ends up pulling over to the rest stop and said, looks like she was kind of getting sick or running off. So I'm thinking either, man, it's possible something happened between her and Danny. Like she caught him fucking around or something like that. Like there was a horrible fight and she just gets obliterated and driving these kids around. And maybe they're even fighting on the phone and they don't want, he's not going to come forward with this information now. And she just goes fucking crazy for a minute, gets drunk, downs this whole fucking bottle of Absolute vodka, gets fucking high. There's 4 hours of time where she's driving around and she stopped going in a bathroom somewhere and then fucking chugging vodka while the kids sit in the car, We won't know because none of the kids can tell us, they're all dead except the little boy, Brian. He doesn't remember a lot. So I don't know. Like that's possible.
That's possible. I mean, there's a possibility that she was finally just snapped. She's been holding all this side inside. She's a rubber band her whole life, keeping everything together, but she's all fucked up about her mom leaving and and she hates her life and she hates everything. And then, and maybe did she have that call where she talked to the sister-in-law and told him she was late? Maybe the sister-in-law yelled at her or said something terrible and that made her fucking snap. And she's like, I'm going to kill fucking everybody.
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, there's a chance that like she finally just unraveled and just, it was just, literally a psychotic break or something like that, which happens to people sometimes when there's enough pressure on them, so maybe something with Danny the night before or that morning they were going to fight and then the girls are fighting and then the aunt's mad at her and fucking you can bring him home late again. You always fucking do this, blah, blah, whatever. Who knows, or maybe the aunt's fucking Danny. I don't fucking know. Danny aren't brother and sister, right? Like it was her brother. I mean, who fucking knows? I'm just saying like there could be, I mean, I don't think anybody else is fucking Danny, but that doesn't seem probable, but, but like
he is, I do think he's a selfish piece of shit. So I think there could have been something that happened, some event that happened between them that really set off this whole like getting drunk and high and pissed off at the world all of a sudden. Yeah. I mean, it's possible.
No, for sure. And
they did do a brain scan, right? So they pretty much ruled out any kind of like stroke or shit like that, according to the famous doctor. Right. So I don't, because at first I thought, well, maybe she did have an abscessed tooth and it got infected and maybe the infection went to her brain or some shit and just boom, like that. I don't know how that works, but
but again, that doesn't, they would have found that. And two, it doesn't explain 0.19. I mean, that's the thing. Like, okay, you're out of your mind. Why would your first instinct be to chug vodka? That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been so out of my mind that I was going to do something I wouldn't normally do. You know what I mean? Now maybe that's how it works.
It's about a 45-minute drive home, right? If she just drives it.
Yeah. So it took 4 hours.
Say your tooth really fucking hurts, man. I mean, get it out for 45 minutes, right? I can't imagine that it was just so excruciating.
And my actual theory, here's my actual theory. Okay. This is what I really think probably happened because this, and again, I'm talking anecdotally from my own experience, but this has happened to me before. Okay. So talked about her weight, right? Like she battled her weight. So maybe she's doing some crazy crash diet. She didn't eat all weekend or something weird. You know what I mean? Like I've done that before. Where I'm just going to eat the hot dog with no bun and I only had 2 and whatever. So her blood sugars are real low and she's fucking, whatever. And then also the supermom thing. I think she was on Adderall or amphetamines or something. She was doing something to fucking be able to burn the candle at both ends that long. Right. So maybe she's taking some sort of amphetamine that's not, now again, that wasn't in her system.
It didn't show up in her system though. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that theory doesn't hold water. I'm just saying like, there's a point where like I've had, again, I was just, my blood sugar's all fucked up and I've had like 2 drinks and all of a sudden I'm way more drunk than I've ever been in my whole life after 2 drinks, and then once you're drunk, your brain just wants more alcohol. generally. I mean, that's not everybody, but people that have that part. I mean, like, I don't think I'm an alcoholic because I don't need a drink right now. But if I have 7 drinks, I'm definitely going to have 8, 9, and 10 till I fall asleep, probably.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's so you get in that zone where you're like, more, whatever. So I could see her being in that. The idea that she smoked weed an hour before the crash is, I mean, like, did she smoke weed on that guardrail with her fucking phone where she left her phone? Like, you know, the edible thing makes sense because they would hit an hour into, like, if she took them and then it took a while for them to hit, you know, but yeah, if they didn't find amphetamines in her system, which they would have found those, then my theory's dead. I
have a couple theories, and I think this one might be the most realistic of in my head, but it's that there was some dark shit going on with her that her husband's never going to come forward about. And she's one of those people who overcompensates when she's around other people because they don't want people to guess or see that dark side, right? And I think maybe she was just at the end of her rope, and the smoking of weed and the chugging and the drinking of the Absolute vodka was to get her nerve up. Like, fucking, I know I want to kill myself in dramatic fashion and take everybody I love with me and show this piece of shit, Danny, a lesson, make him suffer. I'm going to make my fucking sister's family suffer because she just had these demons that she finally they just took over. I mean,
yeah, the only problem with that theory, Todd, is I don't know. I mean, again, unless something else weird happened, I could see her wanting to. I mean, this happens. There's things called family annihilators where they're so afraid their kids aren't going to do well that they just kill them because they're afraid they're going to grow up and do the wrong things or whatever. Super religious people think they're going to go to hell or whatever. So maybe there's that she knew Danny didn't want to be a dad. She didn't want to be around anymore. She wanted to leave her kids to Danny because he was going to fuck them all up. So she's going to take her kids with her. That doesn't explain the 3 little girls in the car. Like, I just don't. That's where I think that's the part where it's
unless that was to get at her sister,
or her brother's wife, or her brother. I mean, because it was her brother. Maybe her brother talked to her mom, and she was pissed that her brother was talking to her mom because she wanted that bitch out of her life, and she's always right, and I'll fucking show you. You know, I mean, because there was the moment where in the card, Jay read a card from the sister to Evan, whoever, I don't know who that was, but she read a card. It said that Warren, the brother, all of the women in his life have all left him. So he won't let me out of his sight because he'd lost his mom, left, his sister now died, his 3 daughters died. So he's not going to let his wife go anywhere. So, maybe there was something about that, or there was a big, I have no idea.
I mean, it could be like a psychotic break, man. I'm telling, like, that's the only thing I can think of is like, all right, there's 2 reasons to get really fucked up. It's to get courage, or, you're going through some shit and you're trying to drown those feelings. You're trying to numb. Or
you're in Toledo in a garage and you're having a great time playing.
Right. Yeah. Or you just having fun.
It could be that. I mean, sometimes you just have a great time and you're fucked up. But in this specific instance, packing up a campsite, there's no reason to get drunk at 9 a.m. if you're not hiding for something or trying to drown something generally.
Or to get courage up to drive the whole van into fucking another car to just go out in dramatic fashion.
I didn't think about this. I don't know why Danny would fight it. The whole point is I don't know why Danny would fight it. Because it could be, dude, we've woken up the next morning at 9 a.m. where we were still pretty drunk from the night before. We've tied one on. It's a campsite. The girls go to bed early. Danny and her fucking kick back. They fucking drink till 4 or 5 in the morning. They smoke a little weed. And then she wakes up and she's hungover as shit. She's got to drive fucking home, but she's still a little buzzed. So she fucking takes the fucking hair of the dog and that fucking wakes her up a little bit. And then fucking she gets through McDonald's and her fucking head's hurting and her face is hurting and she's hungover as fuck. So she takes another hair of the dog just to fucking get through it. And then maybe if I just take one fucking hit, I'll feel better. And then all of a sudden fucking it goes away. Like there's a point where you just lose consciousness and you're not forming new memories anymore. And you're conscious, but you're not forming new memories anymore. So you don't know where you've been and what you've done. You can't fucking verbally speak. So maybe that was it. Maybe, and the thing he doesn't want to talk about is that they partied all night and then he left his fucking wife and all these kids while he fucking staggered his hungover ass home so he could go to bed. He's like, I packed a car and I got to go home, but I'm going to pass out. You take care of the kids in classic Danny fashion. And then fucking she's like, this motherfucker. And then, I
would be interesting to know what the life insurance situation is. because she seems like a person. They talked about how OCD she is and how together she is. I find it hard to believe she didn't have life insurance. And would it null and void any claim because you were fucking drunk and died?
I don't know. I don't know how that works on insurance.
Would that be Danny's motivation to disprove this thing if possible, or at least cause enough doubt that maybe he could unblock this claim?
That's an interesting point, because they did run out of money. So obviously they didn't get paid from a big insurance claim. Maybe they got $30,000 enough to pay off the house or what. I mean, to pay the house payment for a while.
And I don't currently have a life insurance policy, and the ones I've had, I didn't really read them, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've had life insurance before. I don't know
if you die from drinking and driving, you were not going to pay on this, because that's fucking up shit.
I don't know how that works, and I don't know if maybe there's certain policies they add things in if they test your blood and there's booze in it. They're like, all right, you can't drink. I mean, like, I don't know how that works, but
I could see it though, blocking the claim. Like we don't pay out if you just get fucking drunk and crash and kill yourself.
Yeah, no, that's true, because there's a lot of. I mean, now there are some that pay for suicide. It just depends on the policy. I mean, there are life insurance policies if you pay extra that you kill yourself and they still pay it out. Because they're betting you don't have the balls to kill yourself or whatever. But I don't know if regular ones. I mean, there might be some where this counts. I mean, I know I have an accidental death policy right now, but I haven't read it to see if the accident's my fault.
Yeah,
that's why I actually asked my insurance guy. Well, I asked my guy. I go, so if the accident's my fault, do I get paid out? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, let's say I'm running around on a roof like an idiot. I fall off a roof and die. Do I still get paid? Does it still pay out? And he was like, oh yeah, that's fine. So I'm like, now again, he might be lying to me. I didn't read it. I was trusting that guy, but so the insurance thing could be a thing. I mean, it is very interesting, and I get but also she could have just been hiding this alcoholism her whole life. I mean, now
she's a very private person by all accounts.
You get home, you go through the house. If there's not liquor bottles hidden everywhere, probably. Now, Ben, he's never home. Maybe she doesn't have to hide anything. Maybe she has a liquor cabinet.
He works nights, sleeps all day.
She drinks all fucking day at work. I mean, she drinks all day at work in her fucking tumbler, and she's always fucking 0.08 and or 0.18 and 0.19, and she was just fucking pissed. She had to get home. But she wandered around for 4 hours. She left her phone. I mean, that's drunk people shit. I don't.
The driving on the other side of the road for a minute and a half or however long she did, driving in a straight line, just focused, staring straight ahead, seems undeterred by people honking and swerving in front of her, according to the witnesses. Almost to me seems like, and maybe this is a stretch, but this was intentional. This was my plan.
I mean, you know what? We've both been blacked out a whole lot. And it only takes what? Hey, there's a cop, and now you're back, right?
Yeah.
Like fucking.
I don't even mean blacked out. I mean just fucking. This is what I'm doing. I'm killing everybody.
Right. What I'm saying is but my point is that's why I'm saying I'm agreeing with your theory. If she's going straight, maybe it was intentional, because even if you're blacked out, the most blacked out we've ever been. If someone's like, hey, dude, fucking Cliff, we're like, oh shit, like you immediately come out of it and focus. Yeah. True. Right? Because blackout's more your autopilot. But if something happens, if you get arrested, I mean, you don't wake up in jail with no memory of what happened.
No.
Right? Like,
and even like when she was calling people, they could hear the kids screaming in the background. So she has kids screaming in her ear, probably tugging on the seats like, Diane, you're going the wrong fucking way, you crazy bitch.
Because the girl's in 5th grade. The oldest one's like in 4th or 5th grade. That's old enough to know. I mean, like, I knew what was going on in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you're not like, I mean, when you're 3, you're like, whatever. But when you're 9, you're like, whoa, hey, let's not go the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. You're going to die.
Yeah.
Like.
My gut says that was intentional. Something was going on in her life and she was ready to fucking end it. And unfortunately just didn't do it quietly to herself. I'm taking everybody with me. And I don't know if that would be like maybe her plan the whole weekend, like the camping was just a last hurrah, or if something happened during the weekend that she snapped, did she, they didn't, I would think they would, if mental illness, there was a history of that, someone in the family would have said that.
God, I just figured it out. I just figured it out, dude.
What?
Look at the timeline. She got at McDonald's at 10:35. That's 5 minutes after they stopped serving breakfast. and they wouldn't serve her fucking breakfast. And it
That
drove
can
her
cause-
fucking crazy.
when you're high and drunk,
I've almost crashed my car several times because they wouldn't fucking serve me breakfast. My buddy Ryan one time circled the McDonald's parking lot, honking and flipping them off for half an hour because it was 10:32 and they wouldn't give him breakfast. That's why McDonald's went to all day breakfast. Maybe this was the case that put him over the top.
That could be.
You think that's it? She lost her mind because her tooth hurts, her kids are yelling, her husband's a dick, she's fucking drinking, she's smoking, she's got to get home, and it's 10:30 goddamn.
All I want is an Egg McMuffin, you bitch.
Yep.
Fuck it, we're all dying. Could be.
Fuck.
One other way out there thought I had. People are calling me crazy, but demonic possession. I'm kind of a believer that there are demons amongst us that wander the planet. Because every now and then you see something way out of character. Somebody does something, kills a bunch of people, or and everybody's like, "What the fuck? We can't believe it." And I've seen a couple movies where I think it's a good plot. Theory. What if demons just suck in your body and cause you to do horrible shit, and then you die? Maybe. I don't know.
I mean,
not as likely as my other. Depends where you're at in life and what you believe in.
I mean, the idea that a woman's going to fucking kill her nieces out of spite is also pretty unbelievable. So, I mean, that's that. And again, I understand why this doesn't make any sense to these people. I fucking get it. Right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like why you would do this, how this would happen. It is so tragic, especially since it was so many innocent people.
Absolutely.
I mean, like she fucking drives into some sort of fucking protest against something she hates. Okay. It's still crazy, but I get it. You know what I mean? But I don't get it. I mean, but my point is I at least understand the thinking.
There is
where this is like that I'm going to kill these. The only thing that keeps me away from this is, I think she was a good person. I'm not certain she didn't have demons or whatever, but she seemed like a good person. To just murder 5 kids to take yourself out doesn't seem like something that anybody could possibly. I mean, I don't like little kids, and I wouldn't do that.
Sure, sure.
I mean, have them all get out at the fucking at the where she left her phone. Like, hey, everybody get out of the car. Get out of the car. Just fucking get out. You fucking all get. Now, by the way, too, at what point during all this crazy shit does the 9-year-old not go, hey, we all got to get out of the goddamn car? Just fucking next time she stops, we're all getting out.
Right.
Because there's 4 hours. She was stopping other places. She was going all over. I mean, like, at what point do you just get everybody and just go, hey, we fuck this. I don't know what's going on with this lady, but I'm taking control and just, oh, God. Yeah. I just thought of this, too. The oldest girl was 9, which is how old she was when her mom left. You think there's some parallel there, maybe?
Fuck, dude, I don't know.
Like it's trying to save her from that.
I think she's fucked up over something, man. You know what? And one really tragic part of this whole thing was that one guy that she was trying to pass on the shoulder that pulled over in the rest area when she did. You could see like he felt bad because he's like, the one thing I regret is I should have just went up and confronted the lady. Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you acting crazy? And then I would have seen all these kids in the van, and I would have got pissed, and I would have called the police on her, and the whole thing could have been.
Yeah, I'd have wrestled her to the ground, and she would have fought me. But or at least if she jumps in the car and speeds away, he calls the cops right now. There's a drunk lady with kids in the car. Fucking stop her.
Yeah.
Now,
the only bad thing that would have came out of that maybe is if I'm right about demonic possession, she could have ripped off both these arms and bit his throat out and just left him lay there. Because she's going to have superhuman strength. But
yeah, that's part of being a demon. Yeah, I get that. So I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, again, that's the one thing ultimately I don't like. Documentaries and movies and shows that don't have a conclusion. I like to know. I think there should be a rule. You're not allowed to make a documentary unless you know the answer. Like there's that new Unsolved Mysteries on Netflix, and it's just we don't know yet. Well, fucking don't. What? Tell me the answer. I don't like that at all. I want to know at least who you think did it.
Yeah, at least give me some suspects. It drives me crazy in true crime podcasts too, when it's like you're not going to even point the finger at anybody. Why are you telling the story?
Yeah,
we can Google this shit. You know what I mean? Give us some inside scoop.
Yeah. But I mean, with this one, there isn't a conclusion. I think maybe the documentarian thought, hey, we'll figure this out. We'll get to the bottom of it. We'll have this big gotcha aha moment where we're like, oh, the acetaminophen was fucking spiked with fucking blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's.
And then by the time they got done, they're like, well, we didn't really figure it out, but we've spent $200,000 making this, so we're fucking putting it out. You know,
here it is. HBO's like, we'll give you $210 for it,
right?
And
that's probably what happened. Ultimately, I would say don't watch it. I mean, it's
sad, and then it's got that really disturbing picture of her dead, which I didn't like, and then it doesn't tell you what happened. So ultimately didn't really like anybody in the thing. I wouldn't have, other than the the people that died seemed great, but everybody else,
it's bizarre. The only reason to watch it is so you can have a discussion with friends that also watched it like we just did, because it does get you fucking thinking, man. Like, I want to solve this thing. So you're going to try to come up with your own theories, and so are your friends. And
that's true.
I don't know. I have to, if I were to put money on it, one of the things we suggested here between the two of us is probably what happened. But how are you going to fucking prove it? Well,
you're not going to prove it, and no one's ever going to know. I guess maybe you eventually die and go to heaven, and that's the question you got to ask. I don't know. Maybe is that it? Like, you're fucking in heaven, and they're like, you get one question. You're like, what happened to Aunt Diane? And they're like, oh, fuck that one. We get that one a lot. Actually, it was fucking, Danny fucking spiked her shit, and he's in hell, and she's up here hanging out with us and all the kids. And we're like, okay, good. Look out.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting though that Danny didn't want kids. That just haunts me. And when you say that, maybe Danny did something, he didn't want kids. And it didn't sound like the two of them. I don't think they had a very good marriage, to be honest. They worked opposite shift, barely saw each other. He was a lazy piece of shit, and she was an OCD workaholic. So I don't think that meshes too well.
But because of her background, there's no way she was ever going to leave.
Yeah,
she wasn't going to leave Danny and leave her kids like her mom left her. Maybe this is like, well, if I'm going to have to leave, I'm going to have to take them with me. Because I can't do what I did to I can't do what my mom did to me.
Like what you're saying right now, Bowers.
I got to take him with me because I don't want to leave him by myself. And that's what it is. She was suicidal, but she could not do what she did to her mom did to her. She couldn't leave her kids by themselves, so she fucking was taking them with her. Why she has other kids in the van is a mystery, But again, I don't think there's a lot of rationality when you're about to kill yourself. Generally, like, you're not in your right mind, or you wouldn't be thinking about that. You'd be thinking about solutions, and it's not that bad, and we can figure this out. When you're to the point where you're just like, all right, I'm going to drive the wrong way down the interstate. And maybe that's why she was meandering around, because it was 4 hours of her deciding what she was going to do.
Yeah.
She was like, I'm going to kill myself. No, I'm not. Okay, let's get some breakfast. Oh, my fucking tooth hurts. I don't want to go to the goddamn dentist. Danny's a fucking dick. I can't leave my kids. And then she just fucking's like, finally, because I don't even know how I understand how you turn left onto a one-way street that's going the wrong direction. I don't know how you end up on the interstate the wrong direction. That's a fucking especially if you're not swerving around.
Right.
Like if you're going straight,
out,
like
on autopilot, but
wrong
you're going to
way,
be able to tell
wrong
by
way. This isn't it.
Yeah.
And then to go right down the and then in the she was in the fast lane the wrong direction, which means there's gonna be less time for people to react. Like if she's in the slow lane, there's probably a chance that you're going 55 and you're a very cautious driver. You're one of these guys. And you're like, right, which is what the first couple did. And then guy in the fast lane just kind of one hand, fuck, there's a car. Now you're done.
Yeah.
I think
the more we talk about it, the more I think
she
I don't think you're going to find her in heaven. I think you're going to find her in the other place. I think she did on purpose, man. I hate to say that. Hey, if you're a member of her family and you're listening to this show, fat chance, but if you are, then I'm sorry. It's just my gut is telling me, whether she was out of her mind or not, I think she did on purpose.
Yeah. All right. So heroes and zeros, Mr. Todd, who's your hero?
My hero, I think, is the private investigator, because I think he got. Oh no, not the private investigator. The doctor, the famous doctor, Dr. Spitz.
Oh, yeah. Dr. Spitz, yes.
Not the guy who wanted $25K to even come on the damn thing. Right. Because Dr. Spitz, he's a big famous guy in his industry. And even though I just liked how he handled them, because after a while, he was starting to get frustrated for a minute. And then after a while, he was like, just listen, we may never get this question answered. I hope that you are able to get to a point where you're at peace with this. I really do. I hope that for you. And he tried to get them out of there as harmless as possible, but still stick to his guns. Like, hey, this medical examiner didn't do anything wrong.
And it seems like he was the voice they listened to finally.
Yes.
Which I think also
especially
he was also
her, Jay.
Yeah, especially Jay. And he's also my hero. He's the guy because the way he handled. That's who I was going to pick too. So and for all those reasons, I agree with you. The zero.
My zero, I can't pick Diane because she's what the thing's about. But I'm going to definitely go with fucking Danny. I think he's a total bag of shit. And I feel bad for his kid that's who's left to raise him. So hopefully karma gets him, because I don't think he's 100% innocent in this thing.
No, I get you there. I think my zero is also Danny, unless my McDonald's theory is true, and then it's McDonald's for their draconian 10:30 a.m. stop serving breakfast rules that they didn't change till 2015. So if we get to heaven, it's like, no, it was McDonald's, man, she flipped out, then McDonald's is my zero. Other than that, I'll agree with you both. We'll go chalk. I got to go Danny. Danny is the. I mean, almost. You know what? Actually, the doctor. I think Jay's probably my hero. Like, this is a woman who. I'm gonna backtrack a minute. Jay, is raising the kid, making sure he's good. She's fucking honoring her friend. She's trying to fucking help her as much as she can for no real reason. I mean, she's not even really related to her. It's just her fucking husband's brother's wife. I mean, they weren't related at all, but the fact that she just didn't want this lady to be put through this, I think is
I'm going to change mine too. She's got to be the hero, because if that kid has any chance in life, it's because of her. Like, she's doing a lot for him, Brian, little boy. So, all right. Yeah. And I do like your backup plan on McDonald's. They ruined a lot of lives for a very long time with that stupid rule. So, all right. Well, this is a good one, guys. We'll be back next week with a brand new one. We'll let you know on social media. That's what we'll probably do. Just start releasing little trailers and let you guys know in advance what we're going to be talking about. So we'll do that for next week. And again, anywhere near Des Moines, Iowa on the October 15th to the 17th, come hang out with Bowers and I. And here's all we ask is that one group get together a little after party. It's COVID. The bars aren't open late. Listen, these guys in Toledo were we had so much fun. We had such a great time. I was this close to riding a jet ski in a tuxedo inside of a jacuzzi. You were. They were going to put a jet ski in the hot tub. I'm like, you're going to ruin the hot tub or the jet ski or both. They're like, we don't care. It'll be worth the Instagram story. And it might have been. So next time we go to Toledo, I'll probably do that. But yeah, we just need somebody. Look, every other comic on the planet. Not every comic, but a lot of comics, they don't like the fun part after the show. They like to do the show and then they leave, or they shake your hand at the end. We don't like that. We like to hang out with the people. We want to meet people. That's what we want to do. We want to meet new people and hang out and have fun with you. And then so that you become part of the family. And then next time we're back, you guys are back and we're hanging out with family. That's kind of how this is the kind of comics we are. We're old school or whatever. I get it, but we're fun. So come hang out with us. We just like to drink and have a good time. So, we probably would have had fun with Diane. Maybe she'd have met us or come to a show. Well, I think we would have changed her life. She wouldn't have wanted to kill herself and the entire family. I think she would have partied really good at the game ground. We'd have played a little flip cup. We'd have played, some beer pong. She would have had a good ass time. Some tit ball. So I gotta say, Todd McComas is the best at tit ball I've ever seen in my life. They taught us this new game where you hit with your tit into a cup. Yeah. And goddamn, he was good at it. You, Todd, are just the best at those sort of games. It was very impressive. Yeah, we were the champions. We were undefeated. We couldn't be beat after a while. Could not be beat at tit ball. Me and you won a few games of beer pong, which was pretty cool. And then, we lost to the table champs, but that's it happens. We also got kind of drunk. So we were pretty drunk. We didn't want to spend our whole night on the beer pong table. Exactly. So kind of a thing. But anyway, yeah. So come hang out with us in Des Moines. We'll be traveling more together, more dates. It's gonna be fun. So absolutely. And we'll see you guys next week. We are out.